Hello, everybody. God damn it. Hello, everybody. I wanted to talk about something important that I was trying to find when I was really ill last year. I kept trying to find videos on how to get better when I was in the worst of it, and I couldn't find anything useful. So I thought I would make this to try and give you a quick guide for the ill to get better as fast as possible. Basically, your only job is to get better. Once you're better, you'll be able to get back into a normalish lifestyle, but first you have to do these things to make the process smoother. First things first, take your meds. Yes, they suck, but that's your job. Take your meds. They don't give people antipsychotics just to control you. I'm telling you that if you can't trust the pills, they help. It takes time, months to find the ones that don't turn you into a lockjaw zombie, but they're out there, and you need to take them because you need the help. Second thing is be honest with your doctor. They're out there to get you as well as possible as soon as possible. There's no value in pussyfooting around the issues. You're ill. You need to tell them everything you possibly can. You'll likely also need to rebuild your ability to trust other people depending on how bad your paranoia got. I know it took me months to trust mine, but even though I thought he was one of them at one point, I still made sure I was honest about everything that was going on. It gave me less to worry about, and yes, I'm talking about my delusions. Sharing the fact that they exist means you're willing to fight them, which leads to the next thing. Fight your delusions. I don't mean hurt yourself or somebody else, but when you know you're having a thought that isn't right or you're seeing stuff that isn't meshing properly, like you're saying or doing things that make your loved ones worry about you and they're scared enough to tell you about it, take a deep breath and pay attention. The thought processes for my delusions are see something innocuous, but my brain automatically takes it as something with greater impact than reality dictates. For me, it's people blinking, which is just insane, or doing a certain kind of uh, body language that can be misconstrued if you're not well as being something connected with another person across the room. It's a paranoid delusion. Uh, and then feeling anxiety and stress from experiencing that interaction, so feeling bad that it's happening, and then realizing, wait, that's not right. Let me argue against that. It's just a delusion. Oftentimes, if the feeling is bad enough, I'll repeat out loud, "You're a schizo, Jordan," and it's created a referral that dulls the awful feeling of a delusional interaction. I've found that by repeatedly disregarding the interactions when they come up, as I've been able to do so, it's limited the length of psychotic periods, shortening and reducing the effects of them greatly over the past few months. Number 4. When you're really bad, totally ill, write the delusions down. It creates a place where you can unbiasedly release all the pent-up feelings that you're not able to explain properly, and it gives you a way to get the thoughts out of your head so you can read them the next day and attempt to break away from the understanding that they weren't as real as they felt at the time. It's also helpful for those around you to be able to read them. And it does feel like an invasion of privacy at first, but if your doctor or your significant other is reading it, it's worth doing because it gives them a real-time map of your illness. I use my iPad to do this. Uh, Number 5, cut out the garbage in your life. You have a condition that is affected by sugar levels, your caffeine intake, and alcohol and drugs. You really do have to cut them out of your life. I still drink 2 cups of coffee in a morning, and I shouldn't, because it does affect me. And I know it affects me because if I don't drink them, my mood is less elevated and less easily agitated if I'm having a bad day. Uh, and it's my last habit to break. It really should help you. It really does help your mood stability, even though it's hard to get things up. Sorry, to give things up like cider and McDonald's and habitual drug use if you're into it. But if you're running lean and it's less chemical interactions affecting your baseline, it's not only worth doing because you feel better for longer periods of time, but it will drastically change your ability to handle the different stressors that may harm you before the change is made. There are withdrawal periods for any substance, McDonald's included, but eventually you don't miss them and your emotions are better in control and you get better. Speaking of that, exercise. I'm a recluse myself, and I'm currently only able to leave the house for about an hour at a time without getting ill. But I know that I need to exercise every day if I can. Just for an hour, 40 minutes if I really can't do it. Go for a 40-minute walk with headphones in around your neighborhood. Build up to doing 5K a day if you can. It becomes a multi-pronged weapon. You're forced to get outside, which you need to do. And I know for people like us, it can be hard. even damaging at first, depending on your point of recovery. But aversion therapy, where you force yourself to slowly do something you find difficult over time, building in length really works. When it's sunny and I'm not in a downward swing, I go for a 4 mile hike in the woods. It's helped me lose weight. I'm down 60 pounds from my heaviest from last year, and and if it's raining or cold, then it's the gym for a 5K elliptical and then a 5K bike ride. It takes about an hour, and it took me about a year to get there to be able to do this. And considering that I was 5, I got told that I would never be able to run from a diagnosis of cerebral palsy at the time. It's nice to know I can do it, and you can too. You may be heavy and you may be eating garbage, but you can change all that, and it does help you. It's totally worth doing. Uh, and also write down when you exercise and for which duration you did. I've been tracking it for months as a note on my iPad, and other than showing that I'm actually getting something done, it is the added benefit of showing my training mood structure. Uh, I want to exercise. Sorry. I want to exercise when I'm happy and wanting to be healthy, and then when I won't do it for a day, and then for a few days, before picking it up again, my mood is dipped, and it's a very clear passage of time where it's like, oh, not today, and then maybe not for 2 or 3 days, and then pick it back up. You need to track it because you have a stability issue, and anything you can do to stabilize your issue, from recording everything you can to what you eat to what you exercise to where you go, so that you can have a so in 6 months you can look back and say, holy crap, I've been able to get out of the house for 3 hours today, or I mean, a year ago I couldn't get out of the house. I physically couldn't go in my backyard because I thought stuff was happening outside with airplanes and random garbage. And now I'm starting to spend whole days out of the house again, which doesn't sound a lot, but when you've been stuck in the house for a year because you're not well enough to get out the front door, it's a progression that you don't really notice. But if you write it down, then you can actually see yourself improving, and you can give yourself some credit for saying, hey, look, I actually got this done and I'm getting better. And not to mention that, but for exercise, endorphins are a very real mood stabilizer. And if you can feel that high after an hour of work, it's totally worth it, and it costs you nothing. You just have to go walk around for an hour and just sit still and not be on your phone. It's the hardest part is getting out of the house, and then once you get into that habit, you'll start getting addicted to that feeling of enjoyment. You'll start being healthier. You'll start eating healthier. It's kind of a self-fulfilling cycle, and it's worth doing. Not to mention getting out of the house, but if you're stuck in the house all the time, number 7 is find something to do. Don't just watch television or surf the web. It's very passive, it's very easy, and for some people like me, watching TV makes it worse. If your delusions or hallucinations are visually based, and you're seeing stuff from people talking on TV, don't watch TV. So I started writing a book for my family, and it's been a wonderful sense of fulfillment that doesn't force me to be around people unless I really want to be. Plus, it's work, and it lets me actually get something done with the goal. And I count the words that I've done in a day, and my goal is 5,000 words a day because apparently I'm just trying too hard. But it's a very real goal, and if I can do that, then I know that I've gotten a day's worth of work done, and I haven't just been watching Hulu or Netflix. And then at the end of the day, when Jeanette gets home, if I can go out and I can exercise, then I know that I'm getting better. Because 6 months ago, I couldn't do anything because every time I tried to do something, a hallucination would make it worse. But I had to force myself to exercise, and I had to force myself to find something to do because you will fall into the trap of not wanting to do anything ever. And it's a combination of laziness and just being so mind-bended that nothing feels worthwhile, and that's part of the condition. It's part of having a schizoaffective or a schizoid condition. You're gonna feel like nothing feels good because half the time your brain is telling you stuff is happening and you just can't shut it out. So you naturally numb yourself to it. But it's completely worth finding something to do, if it's just a simple painting or writing a book or keeping a journal. or drawing out what you want to do next week and going and doing it. It's you got to have a plan to get better. You can't just hope to get better and wait for it. You have to actually work on it because mental health is work. Therapy is work. You have to work at therapy. You can't just go and sit there and complain. You have to actually have logical goals to get something done. And one of the most important things is get out of the house, which is number 8. Get out of the house. I spent months on end in the house. I've spent most of my life in a locked bedroom, just from like family issues and not being diagnosed with my condition in my teens when I first had the withdrawal symptoms, social withdrawal symptoms, it getting misdiagnosed as clinical depression, or maybe it just grew into something else. But I've spent a lot of my time alone, and it's not good for you. I spend probably 20 hours a day by myself as it is now. I see Jeanette for about 10 minutes in the morning when she says goodbye, and I see her for about 4 or 5 hours from her coming home to us having dinner and us going to bed. And that's the only human interaction I've had for about 2 years, or about a year, because I got really sick about a year ago. So you have to get out of the house. It's hard because you have to be able to get out of the house and not freak out and not have that anxiety of going, what's happening, what's wrong, why am I seeing this, why is this happening? But you have to do it, because if you don't, you will spend the rest of your life in the house or in your bedroom. And what is the point of a life stuck in a room? It's not a good life. You get fat, you get lonely, you get asocial. You need to get out of the house. And yeah, I mean, right now my curtains behind me are drawn just for the shade, but that's the most open they've been in probably a month, because I got used to not wanting to see the streets outside because it bummed me out that I wasn't leaving the house. And I still can't get out of the house for 90 minutes without getting ill. But a year ago, I couldn't go out into the front yard without getting ill. And it does get better. You're ill, but it does get better if you do the work, because you will learn to cope with the garbage that's in your head. Okay. And it's the faster the more work you do, the faster you'll heal. But if you overdo it, and like I had my last psychotic bleed through a couple weeks, like last week, because I decided to spend an entire day at a local cafe, which I haven't done in a year, and I got super paranoid, and it got worse. But I spent the whole day out there, and it's like, yeah, I was seeing things, but at least I was out of the house and I was around people for the first time in months. You have to do it. It's either that or give up, and giving up is not an option. Okay, and then the next one is know that people care about you. Your friends and family may not want to talk about your condition, which is their right, or they may just not know how to talk about it without fear of setting you off or overstepping their bounds. But if they're around you, they care about you. I literally only talk to my fiance and 2 dogs each day, and for months in the last year I thought Jeanette was my enemy, because you get sick and that's what happens, alright? Psychosis sucks ass. But she stuck through it, all the hard parts, getting committed around last Christmas, dealing with the off-the-wall psychosis that took literally months to get through. And it was hard for her and for me. And the problem with being ill is you're being difficult, and you're making it worse, but your brain is just not cutting you any slack, and you're making an ass of yourself. And you're so wound up that it doesn't get better. But you have to talk to them about it, because if you don't build that lifeline that you've had for those years and you don't support it, they might leave you, and then you'd have nothing, and you'd be locked in your room getting really, really sick. So if you have people around you who are willing to talk to you, they care about you, because nobody wastes their time with people they don't care about, unless they're working with them, because they're getting paid. But people who are there from their own volition, they're there because they want to make sure you're okay. They want to make sure you have someone to talk to, and you have to do the work. You have to talk back. And it gets hard because part of the condition is you clam up because you're not sure what's going on is real, right? Or you're misreading their just basic stuff as being completely off the wall, batty, dangerous stuff, and it strains the relationship. But if you take the time to take a breath, and you say, "I'm sorry, I'm acting like this. It's not what I'm trying to do," and you spend the time, and the relationship doesn't break. But if you don't do any work and you become this big negative force in their life, and you're negative about yourself continuously, you're gonna wreck that relationship. Uh, so talk to the people around you who are willing to talk to you about it. And if you don't have anybody, find a therapist because they will talk to you. And if you do the work and you talk to them properly, you'll get better. The problem you have to do is you have to do the work to talk to people because they're not going to be able to help you unless you talk. And just remember, it's slow. You're going to have a long path of this, but you're going to do these things and keep track of your life. You're going to have a very real history to track of your improvement, and that's huge. If you have something to track in your life, say it's your weight going down from exercising, or it's your calories for the day because you're improving your diet, or it's the exercise you did, which includes the time outside, and you increase that so that you increase your time out in the sun, or out in the fresh air. It's gonna get better over time because it's gonna reinforce this feeling of yes, I can do this. Yes, I can get out of the house. Yes, I can be normal again. And it might take you a year or 2 years or 6 months or a couple months to get normal. And you might always have to deal with these delusions that come back and throw a spanner in your cognitive ability. And you might have to deal with paranoia that just doesn't stop, even though you're taking your meds, because it comes back, and that's normal. It's not ideal, but if you have a psychotic condition and you're taking your meds, unless the meds are wrong and not working, which you can talk to your therapist about to get sorted and get a better dose, you will need to basically, if your meds are working and you're feeling great 99% of the time, and then one or 2 days a week you're having little blips or little blinks, and you're having trouble dealing with some misread information, but you're telling yourself that, oh, that's not right. I know that's not right. At least I know that's not right. And yeah, this sucks and it's distressing because it's tiring with those feelings. And you know that it's tiring because you have to fight yourself, and it's hard to fight yourself, especially constantly. Like, it just wears you out. But if you do all this stuff, if you exercise, if you change your diet to get rid of the garbage, which is get rid of sugar, caffeine, oily, greasy food that's full of saturated fat, and just garbage sugars and stuff like that, you will get better. Oh, sorry, alcohol was the last one. Alcohol and like drugs. Don't do that crap. Your meds won't let you do it. Your brain won't let you do it. You're wasting your money doing it. But if you cut all that crap out and you start exercising and you start getting out of the house, you will get better and you will have a better life. And it's worth doing. And those are just my tips for getting better faster. And I know this has been a ramble, but this is the best I could do for now. So please take these tips to heart. Please take your meds. Please go to a doctor. Please take care of your body so you can take care of your mind. And I'll talk to you next time. Cheers.